Hey everyone! This week Alfia and I are discussing Pearl in the Mist, the second story in the Landry series. Please head on over to her channel to check out our full review. Pearl in the Mist opens with Ruby and Giselle being sent off to boarding school. Ruby is excited, Giselle is not. Giselle's in a wheelchair after the accident at the end of the first movie, and it has not injured her ego, apparently. She's still as obnoxious as ever. She was a twin who was raised by Daphne. I think that tells you all you need to know. Not long before the twins get in the car, Ruby is making out with her boyfriend in her bedroom, saying goodbye to him. Her boyfriend has the most meta name ever, Beau. In the car, Giselle doesn't miss the opportunity to rub it in Ruby's face that she's in this wheelchair thanks to a voodoo curse Ruby put on her. So that's where the sisters stand at the beginning of the second movie. At Greenwood, Giselle and Ruby meet their dorm mother, Mrs. Penny, who is a little too cheerful given all of the petty-betty nonsense that is sure to follow in a movie about an all-girls school. A girl named Abby arrives. She's biracial, but Ruby assumes it's a tan. Ruby befriends her right away. At the school, Ruby takes an art class. The teacher, Miss Stevens, has short hair and is one of those women. You know the type. It's not enough to paint the boot you see in front of you, for example. You've got to become one with the boot, damn it. She beams proudly over Ruby's shoulder. Ruby is the protagonist of this movie, so of course she is an artistic genius. Ruby is informed quickly by the head of the school, the aptly named Mrs. Ironwood, that her reputation precedes her. Daphne's been talking. Ruby is from the swamps of Louisiana, and that's all Mrs. Karen Ironwood needs to know. Her name's really Martha, by the way, but Karen fits her better. Abby is very kind and compassionate when Ruby needs someone to vent to, and then Abby reveals her big secret in private to Ruby. She is biracial. Ruby isn't a racist loser, so it's all good. A good-looking groundskeeper appears out of nowhere and talks in a mysterious tone of voice while the girls gawk. Turns out his name is Buck. Now the very important Mrs. Claiborne has several girls over for tea. She owns Renoir and Van Gogh paintings. When Ruby is admiring them in the foyer, she hears piano music drifting down from upstairs. She goes up to the second floor and meets a blind man named Louis. His aunt is Mrs. Martha Ironwood. His grandmother is Mrs. Claiborne. He's therefore related to the enemy, but he seems very sweet and charming. Ruby lets everyone know about her new friend. Mrs. Penny is horrified. No one is allowed down that upstairs hallway, not since Louis's parents died. She treats it like a dead couple is some shameful secret. Giselle assumes the couple was probably murdered. If Mrs. Penny had just been cool about it, nobody would have cared, but now they've got themselves a mystery to solve. Ruby eventually learns the truth about Louis's parents from her teacher, Miss Stevens. Louis's mother was having an affair with a younger guy, and her husband responded with murder-suicide. And their son Louis witnessed the entire thing. Louis went into a shock coma after that. He regained his consciousness eventually, but not his vision. So it was poetic blindness then. Ruby is invited again to the Claibornes, this time for dinner, and this time by Louis. Ruby mentions her grand-mère was a healer. Maybe Louis's vision loss is something that can be healed. At the fall dance, Giselle tells Abby she is a shoo-in for the queen of the fall mixer. When she later announces her as the winner, she also announces that Abby is biracial. Can you believe it? How did Giselle ever figure that out? Ruby retaliates against Giselle by shoving her to the ground. I was quite proud of Ruby for doing that, to be honest. Abby chooses to leave the school with dignity and not wait to be kicked out. Guess what? Louis is getting his sight back. He thinks Ruby has her grandma's powers. Ruby goes to see his room. It is there that he reveals to her that his mother engaged in inappropriate touching with him when he was a little boy. Then, when his dad found out, moved on to another young thing. Guess his father's rage at his mother was even more complicated than originally thought. Ruby and Giselle's father dies around this time. They go home in tears, and Daphne tells them how it's going to be from here on out. Their inheritance will be held in trust until they are 21. How arbitrary. They should get it now. Back at school now, Ruby listens as Louis plays Moonlight Sonata, but the captions label it as Clair de Lune. Don't you love it when they play jokes on the hard of hearing? Mrs. Ironwood would like to see Ruby in her office, and she won't be sparing the rod. The handyman Buck wrote out a confession of his affair with Ruby. That sounds really incriminating. Except we've been following Ruby very closely, and this is obviously a lie. Ruby is in danger of expulsion. There will be a hearing on the matter shortly. If I was her, I'd be like, good, best news ever. Ruby is more concerned about the principle of the thing. If she's going to be expelled, it's not going to be over something she didn't do. An old woman named Mrs. Gray is the witness at the hearing. She saw Ruby doing unmentionable things with a handyman with her very own eyes. It was so terrible she can't even say what it was she saw, so she calls it whoopee instead. Ruby gets smart with the lady and then says it couldn't have been her that Mrs. Gray saw because she was with Louis at the time. He can vouch for her. Louis comes in and blows their case out of the water with his newfound ability to see and state the correct time. In private, Louis admits to Ruby that he cheated. Miss Stevens was with him and told him the time, but he stands by every other word he said. Mrs. Gray says to Ruby outside, "You got away with it. I saw you." Ruby figures out it was actually Giselle. Mrs. Gray somehow was able to make out clearly the blue suede shoes the mystery woman was wearing, and Giselle has a pair in her closet. While hiding in the closet, Ruby sees Giselle walk around her room. Ruby confronts her. Apparently, Giselle has been pretending to be handicapped for the sympathy it affords her. She's saving the big reveal for Christmas. Anyway, I will stop there. If you want to know more about this movie, please check out the video Althea and I have done on her channel. But suffice it to say, what follows is Ruby's favorite teacher falling victim to a scandal, an unplanned pregnancy, and Ruby's return to the swamps of the bayou. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you all have a great day. I would give this movie a 4 out of 5. I think it was a fun movie to watch.